And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Wednesday, October 5th. I'm the host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories right here can also be found at our websites at IndianCountryNews.com and IndianCountryTV.com. And here are some of the news stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. Elders of the Mohawk Nation at Brantford, Ontario, in collaboration with the International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State and its Secretary, Kevin Annett, announced this week the commencement of forensic excavations on the grounds of the oldest Indian residential school in Canada, the Mohawk Institute, run by the Church of England. Frustrated by the ongoing whitewash by the Canadian government of the alleged murder of residential school children by Catholic and Protestant churches, the sovereign Mohawk Nation of Grand River has begun digging for children's remains to finally give them a proper burial and to bring to trial those who killed them, to quote Mohawk elder Bill Squire. Squire and 8 other Mohawk elders have granted authorization to Kevin Annett and the ITCCS to conduct ground-penetrating radar surveys and excavations at the Brantford Residential School in order to bring the evidence obtained to international tribunals and human rights courts if they find any evidence. Navajo Nation President Ben Shelley is urging Utah officials to include tribes in public land planning. Shelley says during a speech this week to state lawmakers that the conservation of lands in southeastern Utah is important to Navajo people because of their cultural and ceremonial significance. Shelley says including tribal leaders in public lands planning would help repair the distrust of the U.S. government amongst some Native Americans. Shelley was highlighting a new book titled Dene Bikea during his visit to the Utah capital. The book includes pictures of important lands in southeastern Utah and quotes from Navajo people about their personal connections to the land. The book highlights other Native Americans that have lived in the area as well, including the Ute, Paiute, and the Hopi. The Cherokee Nation recently started setting steel beams in Vinita, Oklahoma, at the tribe's newest health center, which will offer more extensive services to patients and is expected to bring more than 100 jobs to that community. The planned Cherokee Nation Health Center is set to be finished in the fall of 2012. Its Cherokee name translates to where they get well. It replaces a much smaller facility that opened in 2001. The existing center is housed in a renovated structure with only about 4,000 square feet of space to work from. Its replacement will cover more than 90,000 square feet, providing room for new and expanded services. The planned facility will house services such as dental, radiology, a wellness center, physical therapy, public health, nursing, and all kinds of other things, a drive-through for the pharmacy. In addition to new services and behavioral health will be expanded, and more medical providers will be added for the entire region. The University of Alaska Fairbanks is hosting 2 days of panel discussions focused on the effects of the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act. The discussions were taking place on October 5th and 6th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the Wood Center Ballroom at the UAF campus. The presentations focus on ANCSA's economic, environmental, social, and cultural effects on Alaska, Alaska Native leaders, state and university officials, former state and United States senators and local business leaders, as well as many others, will speak. The event is part of the UFA's ANCSA Impact Series, which marks the 40th anniversary of the Act. All discussions are free and open to the public. No advance registration is required, and there's will be a live webcast available at AlaskaLivestream.com. Phyllis Anderson has been officially sworn in as the first female chief of the Mississippi Band of Choctaw. The event took place October 4th at the Tribal Council at the reservation in Neshoba County. After an inaugural parade, Anderson was to repeat the oath in a ceremony inside the arena at Golden Moon Casino as well. In last month's election, Anderson got 56% of the vote. Anderson had won an earlier runoff against Denson, but it was thrown out because of alleged voting irregularities in the 10-candidate primary. The pursuit of educational excellence serves as a basis for the Southern California Tribal Educational Institute, that's SCTEI, and the Institute has announced the awarding of 2011 Christopher B. Durrow Fellowships to 5 Indigenous students. Emma Elliott is honored to represent the Cowichan tribes on Vancouver Island, British Columbia. She is continuing her research in the documentation of loss and retention of Indigenous languages. Leon Peralto is Kanaka Maoli, or Native Hawaiian, from Hilo, Hawaii. Leon received his BA from Stanford University, and his goal is to deepen his knowledge of the history, culture, and language of his people. Connie Elfile Steele is a member of the Assiniboine tribes of Montana. She currently is pursuing a Doctor of Philosophy degree at Penn State University in Educational Leadership with research emphasis on tribal control of Indian education. Standing Bear Krupa is currently working towards his doctorate in social cultural anthropology. His research interests include cultural history, culture change, and continuity, and Native education. And lastly, Adrian Keene of the Cherokee Nation is a third-year doctoral student in cultural communities and education at the Harvard University Graduate School of Education. Her research focuses on college access for Native students and the role of pre-college access programs in student success. There's more information at their website as SCTEI.org, and that's up on the board for you to look at if you want to go there and get more information. On September 19th, Clinton Fillinger was arrested while doing his job, perhaps because he was doing it. The 60-year-old veteran photojournalist employed by Milwaukee's WITI Fox 6 was filming a house fire from behind yellow police tape. Milwaukee police sergeant approached and ordered Fillinger to move back, all the way back. Fillinger's video shows him moving backward as he challenges the order. He says, "If the public is out here, I'm allowed to be out here as well." The video shows the sergeant continue to move Fillinger back as he continues to complain. "Come on, hey, I'm walking backward," he says. By Fillinger's account, he raised his hand in a defensive motion and made contact with the sergeant. Fillinger ended up on the ground where he was handcuffed and arrested. He was cited for resisting and obstructing a police officer. The incident has drawn protests from media groups across the country, including the Radio Television Digital News Association, or RTDNA, the Society of Professional Journalists, and another organization, the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association. All have written letters to Milwaukee Police Chief Edward A. Flynn expressing their concern. And the reason we read that is because when we first started IndianCountryTV.com, one of the first situations we had to confront was a police officer who didn't like our crew, or me in particular, shooting in a car accident. Ended up getting beat up with a flashlight. Air Canada has apologized for what the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs called a racist internal memo that suggests First Nations residents displaced by floods are making downtown Winnipeg dangerous. In a widely circulating memo, Air Canada says it's pulling flight crews in Winnipeg layovers from downtown's Radisson Hotel to the Sandman Hotel near the airport because several downtown locations are susceptible to crimes of violence and opportunity. The memo connects the safety situation to the presence of approximately 1,000 displaced people from rural Manitoba in hotels near the Radisson. The memo has already been criticized by Winnipeg Mayor Sam Katz, the Downtown Winnipeg Business Improvement Zone, and Air Canada's Pilots Association. The mayor has also requested Air Canada reverse its decision. This week, the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs blasted the memo as racist, requesting a clarification and an apology. Grand Chief Derek Neepanuk said the victims of flooding at Lake Street Martin First Nation and other interlake communities have suffered enough without being blamed for downtown Winnipeg's woes. Coming up is the Honoring Korea World War Veterans on Saturday, October 15th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the LCO Convention Center. Last year during October 11, Ojibwe people from the region were honored for their service in World War II with over 400 people attending. This year the local sponsors are again coming together to honor Korean War veterans and have at this time compiled 11 members of the local Ojibwe community who are such, and 4 other tribes, the Oneida Nation of Wisconsin, Forest County, Potawatomi, the Lac du Flambeau, and the Red Cliff Ojibwe tribes are planning on bringing some of their Korean veterans down for that event as well. For more information, you call Sandy Bird at 715-558-8093, and that'll be on the board for you to look at and call. That's her cell phone number, or contact her at sbird1935 at yahoo.com. IndianCountryTV.com did a live broadcast of that event last year, and it looks like we're planning on to be there as well on October 15th in the afternoon there, so watch from all over the world. Also coming up in St. Paul, Minnesota, and sponsored by the Hamlin Indigenous Peoples Society, is a presentation of the First Nations art show with a special performance by the Native Pride dancers. That's going to be free admission, and that's coming up. Put it on your calendar on Wednesday, November 30th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. there. And for more information, you can contact Ashley, Jalen, or Charlie Thayer at 612-390-6408. And that's going to be another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to say me, Gwetch, for joining with us, and come back again soon.